So an update on this article, since I filmed the video, there has been an update from Carl Lentz. Carl Lentz did admit that he cheated on his wife, and when it first came out, I'm not going to pretend that I didn't think that that was the case. Of course, I don't want to make accusations without knowing anything, so that's why I didn't say anything. I will post the whole, like a screenshot of what he said, but I'm going to take a point out of it because it's pretty long. So he said, when you lead out of an empty place, you make choices that have real and painful consequences. I was unfaithful in my marriage, the most important relationship in my life, and held accountable for that. The failure is on me and me alone, and I take full responsibility for my actions. I now begin a journey of rebuilding trust with my wife, Laura, and my children, and take real time to work on and heal my own life and seek out the help that I need. I'm actually glad that he came out and admitted that. It takes a lot. But I'm pretty sure after speaking with Brian Houston, again, I don't know if this is what happened, but I'm pretty sure Brian advised him to do this, and he knew that it was the right thing to do because he realizes that this is going to affect his entire family. I think we still should pray for him and his family because it's going to affect more. When someone cheats, like a father or a mother, it affects more than just them and their relationship. It affects their entire family. And it can affect how their kids grow up, how they see the opposite gender when it comes to relationships and dating. And then, of course, it affects the church. Our pastor, who should be the epitome of, godliness, has fallen. But every major person in the Bible has fallen, and that's a problem. We shouldn't leave the church because our pastor has fallen into sin. If that's the case, we're worshiping the pastor and not God. We're worshiping the creation instead of the creator. I want you to join me in this time to pray for the pastor, pray for Hillsong, and also pray that they do replace him with a godly leader. And we got to pray for that new leader too. So yeah, I just wanted to jump in and update this part on the video. Thanks, guys. Friends, it's Brittany coming to you from the back of a vehicle again. We are traveling to another destination today, but I wanted to bring up something. I just saw in the news that Carl Lentz, the lead pastor of Hillsong in the East Coast, was actually let go from Hillsong's ministry. Now, I'm going to read to you exactly what was said according to religionnews.com. We're the first ones to report on the matter. The email that was sent to, I believe, staff, yes, Brian Houston, the lead pastor of Hillsong in general, he said this: the reason why Houston was fired was because, quote, leadership issues and breaches of trust, plus a recent revelation of moral failures. Now, we don't know exactly what he means by moral failures, but I'm pretty sure in time the truth will come out. It also says this, quote, I know this will come as a shock to you, but please know that this action was not taken lightly and was done in the best interest of everyone, including Pastor Carl. Please understand that it would not be appropriate for us to go into detail about the events that led to this decision. However, you can be assured that this decision was made in order to honor God and pastorally care for you, our East Coast family, Pastor Carl and his family. So that is what we know so far. All right, for those of you guys who know, there's a lot of pastors out there that are celebrity pastors, and a lot of famous congregants go to their church. Like, I personally have been to Hillsong in LA, and there's even signs out there that tell you to please no video recording or whatever, probably because they have celebrities come in and they don't want you to be like stalking them with taking photos and whatever. There are lines outside. Everyone that is there is dressed like they're going to an audition. And my thought is this: when I go to a church, there's churches with pastors that are there to reach a specific audience. A lot of these young pastors are obviously wanting to reach the younger audience. They want to be cool. They want to be hip. Great. But is your theology correct? The problem that I feel that we're having today is progressivism is seeping into the church. When we as Christians are called to be different, we have to make sure that we're still preaching the gospel, doing it in love. There's so many social justice issues going on right now. When we try to walk the line of being in the middle, that's a problem. Or when we're too far to one side, that's obviously the wrong side. Now, you do want to tell the truth and you do want to do it in love. That doesn't mean you're in the gray area. No, it means you're telling the truth and doing it in a loving way. There has been times where, as you guys know, with Carl Lentz, that he has kind of been wishy-washy about issues. He was asked about his stance on abortion, and he couldn't give a straight answer.
So it's not a sin in your church to have an abortion?
That's the kind of conversation we would have, finding out your story, where you're from,
work
you
through
believe.
it, like talk
Yeah,
about
I
things.
mean, God's the judge. People have to live to their own convictions, and I think if I have to tell you, that's such a broad question to me. I'm going higher. I want to sit with somebody and say, well, where do you believe?
So it's not an open and shut case with you.
Some people would say it is. I think to me, I'm trying to teach people who Jesus is first, find out their story. Before I start picking and choosing what I think is sin in your life, I'd like to know your name.
When you're a pastor and you can't give a straight answer, are you really being led by God? That is the question. Because being a pastor, you already should know where you stand on issues that pertain to the Bible. Now, is it going to be hard to answer them sometimes? You may have a fear because you might get these crazy backlash, but you need to know where you stand, and you need to make sure that, you know what? I shouldn't fear people as much as I fear the Lord. And my job as a pastor is to tell the truth, whether or not people want to hear it. He did come out recently, according to Relevant Magazine, and he kind of had an issue with, so basically with this issue, he actually seemed to be, not in support of abortion, because I think they were trying to allow women to give birth and then to still have the abortion after the birth happened. But again, this is where we can see issues of progressivism come out based on what he said. And again, you guys know that I do have a video series on abortion that I'm going to be putting up pretty soon, or finishing it. You guys will definitely want to check that out. And of course, I will link that in the description box below. But let me read to you what he said. After explaining that he, quote, spent hours talking to lawyers and people who hold opposing views on the issue, end quote, and understanding that, quote, it is layered and there is language in it that some are claiming will protect mothers in peril, quote, end quote, he concluded, quote, the only way I can describe where we are and where this is all headed is evil, shameful, and demonic, end quote, which is true. Later on in his words, he did turn to pro-life advocates. And this is what he said, quote, I'm also aware that often pro-life politics, in quotations, while also supporting the death penalty, of course, have been quick to condemn abortion and the people that have them, and then be invisible and hypocritical when it comes to helping women in need, in poverty, those who cannot gain access to proper medical care, and creating policies that can help those that don't choose abortion, end quote. Well, I know this came out a couple months before my video, but if he had watched my YouTube series, he would have said this, or maybe he would have, based on what he believes. Pro-life politics. You can be pro-life and not support the death penalty. It actually makes sense. Pro-life, again, is defending the unborn, people who haven't had the chance to defend themselves because, they can't speak, but they are humans. Whereas supporting the death penalty is supporting someone's consequence for an action that they chose to take. And then he talks about people that pro-lifers are quick to condemn abortion, but then they go silent, or they're invisible and hypocritical when it comes to helping women in need, in poverty, those who cannot gain access to proper medical care, etc. There are so many organizations who are there to provide proper medical care or to offer services and offer help for mothers who are in crisis. He talks about being invisible and hypocritical when it comes to helping women in need and in poverty, all of that things. Apparently, he doesn't know about all these Christian organizations that do that already. Now, I'm going to be addressing that in an upcoming video. Again, we don't know why he's being fired. But when a pastor is saying things like this, and I'm the one that had hired him, I personally would have fired him a long time ago. Because I'm like, you're here to preach the Bible. You're here to stand in support of biblical principles. And you're not doing that. And I personally had a story a few years ago of, I'm going to call a squad member of these hip, cool pastors, where I had interviewed this pastor, and I asked him a question regarding his stance on homosexuality. I received a call from his PR team asking me to take my interviews down. So, as a journalist, I don't have to do that. He clearly answered the question on camera. I could have left him up. But at that time, I was just starting out with a certain direction that I was taking my ministry in, and I didn't want to cause problems within the church or within the pastor or whatever. And I said, fine, I'm just too much. I'm going to take those down. Now it would be a different story. Because as Christians, we are called to stand on biblical principles, do so in love and with compassion, but we can't back down. If you're a pastor and you're more concerned with being cool and having celebrities in your church than you are preaching the gospel, that's a problem. And if you look at also the popular celebrities now who claim Christianity, the things that they stand for, the way that they vote. Are the pastors who they call their friends really doing their job? No. So again, right now with this situation, the thing we need to do as believers is we need to pray for Pastor Carl Lentz. We need to pray for people that are involved in this situation. We need to pray for Hillsong Church. We need to pray for Christians. He deserves grace just as much as the next person does. But we also need to look at ourselves, see where we're headed, see where we're taking our followers, because as pastors, they're wholly doubly responsible because they're the leaders of the church. Not everyone's called to be pastors, but when you're called to be a pastor, oh, believe me, God is your direct boss, and you definitely need to have the fear of the Lord. All right, you guys, I want to know, what do you think about this whole situation with Pastor Carl Lentz? Do you have any opinions or thoughts on it? Tell me in the comment section below. Again, if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and follow me on social media, which I will list over here. Also, subscribe to this channel so I can create more videos like this for you. I really do care about preaching the gospel and spreading the truth. You know, sometimes it's difficult as it may be, but that's what being a Christian is, right? The life of a Christian is very hard. All right, until next time, I'm Brittany Valadez for BraveTheDaily.com. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.